Hey everyone, this is Friedel Courageous Raven, and I'm back with my recap and review of Snowpiercer season number 1, episode number 6, and yeah, only 4 more episodes left for this 10 episode long season 1, and it's already been renewed for a season 2, so that's good for fans. Anyway, the episode opens up with a voiceover narration by Oz, and yeah, full disclosure, I was provided a free screener of this episode by TNT for review. This is not a paid review, this is not a sponsored review, and the opinions that I'll be sharing are my own. So, coming back to the episode, which is titled, I think it's titled Danger Comes Sideways or something like that. Yeah, Trouble Comes Sideways. So it opens with a voiceover narration by Osweiler, and basically Osweiler says that he's happy with his life on the train. He doesn't necessarily remember his old life. He doesn't miss it because it was bad. His mother wasn't. Well, she was a drunk and all of that stuff. And while he's giving us a narration, we get to see that there's a leak in one of the containers or whatever you can call it, and there's this substance coming out, and that substance runs into wires, and that ends up messing with the functions of the train, and that relates to what's going to happen in the episode if you look at the title. So while the narration is going on, we see that Layton is still trying to recover from the sedative that was given to him before he was put into the drawer. And we also know that because in the previous episode, Mr. Wilford ended up freeing Nikki from justice, the third class people and the second class people aren't happy about it. So they basically are coming together for a strike in third class. And because third class is made up of a whole lot of people that play a role in maintaining everything that goes on the train. It includes the janitorial system, it includes the cooks and all of those. So yeah, having those people go on strike, that's not a good plan. We get a shot of Osweiler, and while he was narrating, he was shaving his beard. And yeah, remember that leak that we saw in the beginning of the episode? Well, that ends up messing up with the wires, and the people in the engine, Harvey and Bennett, end up noticing it. And Bennett is like, you know what, Harvey, I'll go in and check it out. And Harvey is like, yeah, Bennett, of course you would. You always have the fun jobs, and you don't have to follow any protocol because you are hooking up with Melanie. And Bennett is like, Harvey, it's been years. Why aren't you already over this? And if you are so lonely, why don't you find yourself a girlfriend? And Harvey is like, I would, but then I would have to lie to my girlfriend too about what Melanie is doing and what's actually happening in this train. So you can see that Harvey isn't really happy with how Melanie has been running things, and he especially hasn't been happy with how Melanie handled the entire situation with third class and Nikki's trial. We cut to Melanie, and she is with Jinju, and Jinju is helping her with meditation. And yeah, Melanie doesn't have time for that. Melanie has other things on her mind, especially the strike that the third class are planning, and she tells Jinju that she's going to go down and she's going to put an end to this. We get to see Bess meeting up with Oz, and you know that in the previous episode, because Bess was helping Josie free Layton, she ended up hitting Oz, and Oz fell down and he went unconscious. Yeah, and Bess doesn't want Oz to say anything about it because she doesn't want to get into trouble. However, Oz is going to have fun with it, and Oz is like, you know what, Bess, I haven't forgotten what you did to me, but right now we have to go and figure out where this paper for the strike came out from. We cut to Layton, and Layton, because he's under the influence of the drugs that they gave him, he is being very impulsive, he's being over emotional, and he ends up raising his voice as Zara, and he blames Zara for everything that he was put through, and he tells Zara that she should have forgotten about him, and he basically tells Zara that he doesn't believe that she loves him anymore. We see Melanie entering third class, and she holds up the paper with the strike details, and she basically gives a speech to third class about how their duties are sacred to the engine, and if they stop, then the engine will fail. And then she ends up threatening them, and I really like the way that Melanie threatened them. She is like, if you guys go through the strike, I'm going to choose at random 10 third class people, and I'm going to send them to the tail, and I'm going to bring out 10 people from the tail who will happily do the jobs that these third class people already have. So do you guys want to do that? And of course, none of the third class people want to go to the tail. So yeah, the strike has been squashed. We see Josie coming to see how Layton's doing, and Layton is happy to see Josie, and Josie is like, I only have a couple of hours, and Layton, you can't stay here. I need to get you back to the tail, or I need to get you into hiding, and I have a friend that has agreed to help. While Josie is taking Layton out of Zara's house and towards the friend that she has, this is where Layton tells Josie that the reason that he was put into the drawers is because he figured out that Melanie has been acting as Wilford, and Wilford isn't even on the train, and he wanted to tell Josie that because if anything happened to Layton, he wanted someone else to know the truth. The friend that's helping Josie ends up being the doctor, and yeah, she helps Layton, and she's like, I'm willing to help you all. And of course Layton is suspicious of the doctor because he's like, why didn't you help me before? And the doctor is like, you know what, it's been too long, I can't stay on the sidelines anymore. This is also where Layton asks the doctor about the drawers, and the doctor is like, I'm not really sure why the 400 drawers were created, maybe as punishment, who knows. Oz is still having fun messing with Bess, and he basically wants Bess to go and get him some oysters, and Bess is like, yeah, you're not dragging Jinju into this. And Oz is like, you know what, Bess, you don't have any choice except to listen to what I want, and yeah, I'm going to blackmail you as long as I see fit. They go to the paper maker and they ask him where the paper for the note for the strikes came from, and the paper maker is like, I didn't make any of that. It feels like someone made these DIY'd these, and yeah, Oz ended up using force on the old man, and it turns out that it was Clay who created the paper and who has been distributing it to other people in the train. Then we have a scene where it turns out that, remember that woman who ended up sacrificing her arm to save her child's life? Well, she's dead, and it's sad. Everyone's sad. Her son's sad. His little sister's sad. And the people in the tail want to do something to help everyone be happy. We see Melanie going over the stats of regarding what went wrong with the train. Basically, the brakes. So one of the brakes is malfunctioning, so Melanie is like, you know what, I'm going to figure this out. Go back to the doctor, and this is where she shows Layton and Josie these files, and apparently around 400 people at random have these X marks on their files, and Josie is one of those people, and Layton is one of those people. And this is where the doctor is like, you know what, I think that the people who have these X's on their names, these are the people who will be put inside the drawer, and they're basically on Mr. Wilford's blacklist. We go to the kids studying at school, and we see one of the engineers we are familiar with, and he's basically telling the kids that no one can go outside except for an engineer like himself because it's way too cold outside. And Melanie comes in and she is like, I need you for repairs, and he's like, yeah, I'll go. But before Melanie leaves the classroom, she walks to Miles, and basically Melanie has been giving these questions and assignments to Miles in order to see how smart he is, and apparently he is very smart, so that's something interesting to keep an eye out on. We see Zara talking to Audrey about how she feels that she has lived many lives, and it turns out that Zara is pregnant. Now, we don't know if it's Layton's or if it's Sean's. We're back at the doctor again, and yeah, Layton, because he's still under the influence of the drugs, Layton is like, you know what, Josie, this is my chance. Melanie doesn't know that I'm out. I can take her by surprise. I need to kill her. And Josie is like, Layton, no, you need to rest, so don't go after Melanie. And Josie goes to talk to the doctor to thank her for all of her help, and this is where Layton picks up a scalpel and he just runs away from the clinic. Josie tries to stop him, but he doesn't listen to her. Ruth has been having issues with how Wilford has been managing stuff, and she is like, Melanie, do you think that Mr. Wilford is doing okay? And Melanie is like, yeah, he's okay. Why do you ask? And Ruth is like, I don't know. It just has been feeling that Mr. Wilford isn't on top of his game anymore. The rebellion that occurred in third class, it was as if he was asking for it. And Melanie is like, Ruth, you don't have anything to worry about. Mr. Wilford is fine. As Melanie is making her way to the carriage where the repairs are supposed to go on, Leighton comes in and he surprises her and he threatens her with a scalpel. And Leighton is like, you know what, Melanie, I want you to remember this. I want you to remember that at the end of your life, it was a Taily who killed you. Before Leighton can kill Melanie, while the other engineers are working on repairs, something goes wrong and one of the equipment hits another person and kills him. And this is where more damage occurs to the train, and basically the train has started to go sideways, and if they don't fix it soon, the entire train is going to topple away from the track. The instability in the train gives Melanie a chance to talk to Leighton, and she tells Leighton that the reason that she has these drawers created is because of survival, and she has been selecting people on the basis of diversity and the skills they have, and she is going to send them to sleep so that they can at least survive if resources go down. And I'm not really sure I trust Melanie that much, because we all know that the drawers, the experimentation that's going on in the drawers, that has a whole lot of risks, and she literally has children in the drawers as well. So yeah. After assuring Leighton that the train needs her, Leighton lets her go. She goes to Bennett and the other engineer, and she is like, you know what, it's my train, I designed her, I'm going to fix her. And so she heads out to fix the train. Everyone inside the train aren't doing well because everything is shaking. We see that Bess and Oz are together in one of the rooms, and this is where Bess asks Oz about who he is thinking about, because basically they're all going to die. And Oz is like, you know what, I'm not thinking about anyone, so don't ask me anything. While everyone up train is just shaking wildly, people in the tail, one of the tailies has this projector, and she ends up projecting the image of mountains to keep everyone calm. And yeah, it works. We have a scene where LJ is sitting in the diner cart, and while everyone is fearful of their life, LJ is just sitting there, and she also ends up pushing a cup of, I think this is a pastry, I'm not really sure, and she pushes that off the table. Yeah, LJ, I still don't know what to think of LJ as a character, so let's see what happens to her in the upcoming 4 episodes. Now, because the Snowpiercer is nearing a bridge, it turns out that if they aren't able to stabilize the train in time, once the highly unstable carriages are on the bridge, the entire train is going to topple off track, so Melanie needs to hurry up. We get a scene where Melanie is trying to reach out for one of the parts that's causing trouble, and she reaches out to it, but it's too far. It's your usual amping up the drama trope in TV series. While everyone is praying that they don't die, Ruth still has belief in Mr. Wilfred, and she uses the communication mic to tell everyone that they will survive this, and because Mr. Wilfred engine will somehow provide. Also get the scene where Bess and Oz end up holding each other's hands. It was a sweet scene, and I mean, basically, even though Oz isn't the best of characters, Bess is still the only kind of friend he has. Leighton ends up running back to Josie, and Josie asks Leighton if he ended up killing Melanie, and Leighton is like, no, I didn't kill Melanie because the train needs her, and I wanted to come back to you because while we might end up dying, all I could think about was spending my last moments with you. And yeah, even though the moment was sweet, I'm not really a fan of Josie and Leighton hooking up in a romantic sense. Melanie is able to grab the gear or whatever that was causing trouble, and she's able to fix the train, and everything becomes stable again. Oz tells Bess that even if he won't rat her out, there's still a chance that other people are going to find out that she helped Leighton escape, so it's up to her to protect herself. We get a scene where Melanie is finally feels happy that she was able to save everyone on the train, and I really liked how Jennifer Connelly acted this scene, because you can see that Melanie, yes, she's happy that she saved everyone, but that was an ordeal that was rough, and you can clearly see that on her face. Bess finally goes and she meets up with Jinju, and she is like, Jinju, do you regret asking me to move in? And Jinju is like, Bess, why would I regret you moving into my life? And Bess is like, what if I'm not the person you think I am? And Jinju is like, Bess, is there something you want to tell me? But no, Bess doesn't tell Jinju that she ended up helping Layton escape from the drawers. Bennett goes to third class, and this is a heroic moment for him because no one knows that it was Melanie who helped save the train. So Bennett uses that moment to thank Mr. Wilfred. And of course, you know that whenever Bennett is talking about Mr. Wilfred, he is talking about Melanie. And everyone is happy. All of the third class people have forgotten about the strike because they're glad that they're safe. This is where Audrey tells Melanie that even though everyone is happy right now, they will remember the injustices that they have experienced and they will strike again. And Melanie is like, Audrey, take a chill pill, read the room. We see the doctor take Layton and Rosie into her room. Apparently, she's been checking up with another person, so her room is empty. So she asks Layton and Josie to stay there. And this is where Josie and Layton end up hooking up. And again, I'm not a fan of these two hooking up in a romantic sense, but what can you do? Because I still think that Layton has feelings for Zara. Now, before the episode ends, we see that Melanie asks Miles to meet her in her office, and Miles comes in and she shows him this caliper, and she's like, Miles, Mr. Wilfred gave this to me, so I want you to take it. And Miles is like, yeah, I'll do it. And before the episode ends, this is where Melanie asks Miles that, you know what, Miles, Mr. Wilfred would like you to do something. And I'm like, uh-oh, Melanie is going to use Miles somehow. Maybe she's going to use Miles to get to Layton, or she's going to use Miles to get to the tailies. Yeah, it's not good. Anyway, I will be doing a written review of this for the Geekiary. The link to that will be down in the comment section below. Let me know what you thought of the episode down in the comment sections. And yeah, until next time, stay happy, stay safe, stay blessed, and I'll see you guys later.